And then the only remaining part that we do not have yet is the dissolving. So again, when the character dies, he should be able to dissolve. His body should gradually disappear. Or for example, there might be a special weapon in the game that might dissolve the characters it hits, the enemies it hits, etc. So we'll set up a very simple dissolve effect. It only involves about 6-7 expressions, so it's quite simple to do. And first thing first is we need to set the whole material to use to be masked. So at the bottom, click an empty space, and then at the bottom, opaque, change to masked. Do not use translucency. If you really want to fade out characters gradually with actual translucency and not just dissolving them, then what you should do is you should make 2 materials for the character. One normal material like this, and then a second material which allows for fading. And then when the character dies, you should very quickly, after he died, change from the normal material to the translucent material and then begin the fading. Because if you're going to render the character always in a translucent state, that's going to be really heavy for performance, and you're going to have all kinds of rendering and sorting problems. So you shouldn't go there. And that's also why we're using masked and why we're dissolving things and not fading the character. Because rendering translucent at all times on the character would be way too much and it's too performance intensive. So masked nicely works around that, and you still have a way of getting rid of the character. It's not as nice as fading, but it still works. So I set it to masked, and that opened up opacity mask, of course. So to opacity mask, we're gonna connect a small setup over here to dissolve it. First of all, we need a cloud texture. We're gonna use a standard cloud texture to work with. That one. It should be scaled down a bit, so we'll add a texture coordinate. Let's say 8 or so, I don't know, we will see how it works out. We actually subtract a number from this, so not multiply, but look for a subtract. And we will work with the red channel, so red is B, and subtract a number from that, or actually subtract the clouds from a number. And for example, let's start here. So it looks like this now. If this number goes down, it becomes progressively darker, and this is what we will use to dissolve the character, because as this number decreases, more and more black begins to appear, and as more and more black appears, more and more of the character becomes invisible, until eventually there is nothing left. So I found out a number as like 1.25 works the best. Could go 1.5 as well. The higher you go, the more white he is. So start with some kind of size like that, and then subtract the clouds from that. And what I will also do here to make it easy to work with is I'm going to multiply this number with another one. And set it up like this instead. This is now the parameter. So instead of making this one the parameter, I made a second number the parameter, because this allows me to stay to a simple 1 to 0 scale, rather than having to work with 1.5 to 0, and now simply have to work with only 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. That's the only reason why I multiply it like this, just to give myself a simple 0 and 1 range to work with. Okay, so if this number drops, it gives the same effect. It gets progressively darker. And then to get even better contrast, I found out that it helps a lot if you add a normalize into it. See, it hardens the contrast, it gets very simple. It works better for masking. So you can see at 1 it's totally black, white. And then small black spots will begin to appear, which will begin to grow. Therefore the body will begin to disappear until it's gone. I'm gonna bring it back to 125. That should be enough. That is indeed enough. And then to make sure that it never goes under 0 or above 1, I will add a constant clamp again, just as a safety. And this then connects to opacity mask. And that is our simple dissolve setup. Let's see if we look in the viewport here. So right now the character is as is. It's normal. However, if I take the dissolve amount and I lower the number, holes will begin appearing, and the lower the number goes, the more disappears, until he's eventually gone.